Hey everybody, so I'm here with comedian Winston Hodges. He's a comedian from the DC area. So what have you been up to lately?
Honestly, not much. I've had a few shows, but with Omicron going around, I kind of took a week break right before Christmas leading into New Year's, and I did one show on New Year's, and then I took like another week off. So I just finished a weekend at a comedy club, but for the most part, just the last couple weeks I've just been relaxing and laying low.
Cool. I should bring up that we decided to meet up at this cafe, or so it says it's a cafe.
Yes, yeah.
I guess how would you describe your comedy to people that haven't seen you?
Ooh, that's a good question. If you haven't seen me, it's the way that I think I would describe it is probably it's like watching your friend perform even if you've never met them. Is kind of what I like to do. I like to make people feel comfortable with me when I'm on stage, and there's a lot of crowd interaction usually, and so it's kind of like watching your friend tell stories and stuff and joke around, and it's also you feel pretty involved in the show. Like everyone feels like they're a part of the show usually if I'm doing it.
You had a was it the cute comedy for a while?
I did that for a little bit. I did that stuff with my mom for a little bit, and then she and then and then something happened, and I no longer am around her all the time. But yeah, we did that for a while. It was pretty fun.
Do you like having like kind of the comedy branding or whatever you would call the little name thing?
Yeah, I tried it, and it was like I don't know. You just try to figure out whatever works for you, and that didn't really get me any traction. But it was like a fun thing to do with my mom for a little while.
Yeah.
So I don't. I think I'm kind of done with the branding thing for a while. But I tried that for like a year and was like, well, this is just silly. I'm
I
not
like
famous.
I like the shirts. They're cute.
Yeah, I like the shirts. Like I'm glad that I got that logo made just because it's like cool to have uh a cartoon logo of me for like thumbnails and stuff like that for people to see, but I was doing it and the whole time I was just like, why am I wasting my time doing this? I should just be working on other stuff right now.
I might put it back because it's kind of weird, but
Oh, you don't like the cafe?
I don't know. We look kind of like weird, and I'm like way bigger than you.
Yeah, like I'm like, yeah, I'm sitting lower. I think if I like pull this, there you go, see, it was the angle. Now we're the same
Okay, wait a
size.
bit. Okay, sure. So, why did you first decide to try stand-up comedy?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I've always wanted to do it, and then I got out of a relationship and a job that I didn't. The relationship needed to end, and the job I was so unhappy, and I just finally tried it. I've always wanted to do it. I think stand up's incredibly cool and fun, and I was always really scared to try it, so I didn't try it till I was almost 25.
Yeah, and so didn't you like the first time you ever performed was that like at Clash of Comics,
Yeah, it was Clash in Richmond. That was my first set ever.
and you won. So what was
Yeah,
that like?
it was weird. It was the weirdest thing because I like won against some people that as I started to do comedy, I realized were pretty good comics in Richmond, and uh it set unreal expectations. I think for what comedy was going to be when your first set is a contest and you win, you're like, oh man, I'm never gonna bomb. And then like my next three shows, I bombed. And I was like, oh my god, what am I even doing?
I think too that was only like you didn't like David Wingfield. I think he won the first one too, or at least it's the story.
Possibly. I haven't talked to Dave in a long time, man. He's got like a kid and a
Yeah,
wife and a real job.
he's in real life now.
Yeah, he's in real life. He's not in a fake cafe. He's in the
Yeah,
real.
with like steps that no one's gonna come down.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be cool. They should have like random people like walk behind you.
That would be cool if it was like it should just be like a live feed of a real cafe somewhere. They should have a camera set up and it's just people like
Yeah,
actually walking behind you.
they have that thing now. I don't know, it's on the news, whatever they call it. They teleport you like places. I don't know.
Oh,
Like they
weird.
make it look like you're there. I don't know. It's not called teleport, whatever they call it. Anyway, I'm back. So like, what month? What month was this? Because I remember I did it in like the May 2015, and you were hosting.
March 2015 was my
Okay,
first time. Yeah.
that's cool.
Man, what a good memory you have that you did the May one and that I
I
was
know it was my
hosting.
very first one I ever did. And it was my birthday because I
No
remember you
way.
hosting. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like my so that was so I so my first month was I competed at the end of March, and then April I think I competed again and got second place, and then the third month they asked me to host it. So that was my first hosting gig at the ever. That was like my first paid hosting gig. Was that clash that you
Yeah.
did?
You're like
That's
one of the first people that I was the first one I did. You're like one of the first people that are like, do you have anything you want to say? And I was like, no. And then later I was like, maybe I should have said it was my birthday.
yeah. You should have. You would have. Yeah, that would have definitely won some people over. It's like your next comic. It's her birthday. Please, please, please vote for her. How long had you been doing stand up when you did that?
I took the class. Well, actually, I was supposed to be in the one at Richmond Funny Moment with Dave Wingfield, whatever. But I
Yeah.
think I was the only one that signed up, and he said he would do it if, like, I think he said it was like 2 people, and it was just me, and I was like, okay. So they canceled it, and then they said there's one at the beach or whatever, so that's why I did the one at the beach because I
Oh,
wanted.
was that Tim Luli's?
Yeah, I did that one, but I was
Cool.
originally doing the Richmond one, but no one. It was just me. So, so
Because
I
you're
just
like in between both, right? Like you're out towards
I live in
Williamsburg
Colonial.
area.
Well, no, everyone thinks I live in Colonial Heights, so I'm like.
Oh, really? I just always assumed. I
Well,
don't know why. I always thought you were farther, closer to the water.
I did the school there, and then I met people, and I don't know. I have trouble meeting people, and I liked that I knew people, and it was fun. So I just kind of stayed there because I like
Oh, that
I have
makes sense.
people to hang out with.
Yeah, that also makes sense that like all the shows that you've run are in Colonial Heights. I just thought it was so weird that you had shows at Haley's Honey Meadery and then that pizza place. I was like,
Yeah.
it's so weird. She's driving like an hour and 10 minutes to run a show.
My place is like right behind my house.
Oh, I did not know that. That's so funny.
Yeah, I went to like school here and stuff too. My dad's from Hopewell, so
Oh, okay. I did not know that at all. But that does make sense because that's where Haley's is, right? That's
yeah,
Hopewell, isn't it?
yeah, in Hopewell.
Okay. Because I remember your parents being at that show, the one that I like, the one Haley's that I headlined. I remember.
Yeah,
I think it was your family. Like I always was. Your family is pretty supportive, and like I always remember them being like right at the stage.
my mom said you kept apologizing to her, and I was like, I don't think. I'm like, I think it's okay.
Yeah, I did. I kept apologizing just nonstop because that show was like, because I remember it was a lot dirtier than I wanted it to be because I was like bombing really hard and like Mike Engel like hadn't had a good set and then someone in the audience said something really dirty and I was like, well if the audience is being dirty.
But yeah, they live in Colonial Heights too.
Oh, okay.
But then they opened one in Fredericksburg, so I don't know. That's kind of far away.
That is, yeah. I think they do comedy there too. Did you see that? Where I think like a Dwayne White, I think, runs a show there now. So they're like the
Yeah.
comedy capital of the area.
Cool. I'm like, wait a minute, we're talking. Oh yeah. He's like, oh yeah, people I guess think I'm from there because I don't know. I get on more stuff there too. I don't think people in Richmond really like me.
Really? No.
But I don't really know how to talk to people either, so it's probably my fault too. Because when you're in the class, you kind of like have to like you talk to people, so that's like how I met people.
Yeah.
You're interacting.
Who was in your class? Anybody that's still doing it?
Rudy was in it, and
No way.
that's how I know Rudy. And Chop was in it, but I don't know is he still doing it.
I think Chop still is.
Okay, John Krantz.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, that's like a damn.
Then they do Hell Week or whatever, and some people like it that. It's like they'll heckle you and then they'll talk to you afterwards, so that's nice.
Yeah, I remember when because Tim started teaching the Richmond one after a while, like a few years ago, and
Yeah.
he and like so I came out during Hell Week, or whatever, and it was just
Yeah.
like he just ran us through all these situations. It was like, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna be so mean to these people, and I was like, man, this is this is. Some people were like into it. They're like, this is awesome.
Yeah, I don't like to do the mean like thing.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. I was like, this sucks.
I think I did one of those. I don't know how many there were there.
I think they're good. I don't know. I think it's good for people to like to get that experience of like, but it was like Tim like grabbed me and like a couple other people and they're like, hey, here's what we're gonna do. This is the student in the class who's probably the most gifted, and you're not gonna laugh at them at all.
Yeah.
And I just remember this like dude just like had no, it was a lady, and she just had like almost a mental breakdown on stage where like she had never not gotten laughs before, and it was like 10 people just staring at her in silence, and she did not know how to react. And I was like, oh
I
my
think
gosh.
that's the same one that I did that one like too with help. It was
Oh,
that's the one that Wendy was on.
okay.
Yeah, and then like they had the one that was all confident. He's like, Yeah, you said don't laugh at them. Then the one that wasn't confident, we're supposed to laugh at everything, and they were
Laugh
like,
at everything, and
yeah.
then people were just like, I don't know what to do.
It's funny. Oh yeah, so like when you won, I was gonna say, did like any of the people be like, I don't like that new guy?
Yeah, but I think that's just
Right.
like a thing that happens. Like I think that there was a lot of like, if you go back to it, it was a lot of people who, and not even a lot. There were just people that I think were like, who is this person? We don't know who he is. I wasn't coming out to the open mics yet. So it was the type of thing where I think they just didn't really see me as a real comic yet, which I mean, it was my first time doing comedy. And I was, pretty lucky that I had a good set on the same night that everybody else maybe didn't bring their best stuff or just like connected with the audience. But I mean, it probably took like, I started doing shows in Charlottesville after that and made some really good friends in Charlottesville. And now some of my best friends in the world are in Richmond. So I think for the first year it was a lot of that. And then I don't think a lot more of it. I don't think any more of it carried over after that when people when I was like at shows and people were like, oh yeah, we like this guy.
I remember you were doing like the Richmond Funny Bone open mic.
Yeah.
That was the first one I did there.
Yeah, I
Like
like that, Mike.
when it first started. Did you have like a Taco Bell joke? Like
Yeah, you have a really good memory. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I had like fast, like, yeah, that was like all my early stuff was like fast food. I had like a fast food bit that was like 4 minutes, and it was like Taco Bell and like all this. Yeah, you have a good memory. That's crazy.
I don't remember everything. I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember you kind
specific.
of reminded me of a preacher, and because I like to watch people that have stage presence because I don't really know. It's like because I remember you were pretty loud and you had pretty good stage presence, and I was like, maybe I should imitate like preachers.
Yeah, I definitely like had that. My stage presence definitely came well before my ability to write jokes. I was comfortable on stage, but I was like faking it until I make it, I think.
I don't know. I think your stuff was fun. From what I
I,
don't remember all of it, but I don't remember being like bad.
okay, yeah, well, good. I'm glad. I think it means I tricked you with my stage presence because I look back on my old notes and I'm just like, oh my god, I can't believe I ever thought that was funny.
I don't know. Yeah. Oh yeah, the number two. I don't know. That's not really a question. I was saying, yeah, always feel weird when I have to like follow you, and I'm like, because you're all like super stage presence, and I'm just like, hi guys. And they're probably
Yeah,
like, what has happened?
very quiet and just like, yeah, very yeah, that's funny. Yeah, it's definitely a different. It's good. It's definitely an interesting juxtaposition. I feel the same way when I have to follow somebody that's like either really, 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 really dirty or somebody that's like really, really, really quiet. Like, because it's like I can work clean and I curse when I do normally do stand up, but like I would say most of my jokes can be made clean just from taking the cursing out because I just
Yeah,
curse generally. But like just following someone that's just like really a lot of sex jokes and stuff, and then I got to go up and just be like, okay, so I used to teach, and
yeah,
what's
that's
up?
funny.
Let's talk
Yeah,
about
that's always
kids.
weird when I do that. Too. I'm like, do they want to listen to me after? If they really enjoy it too, I'm like, I don't know if they want to hear my jokes.
Yeah, if they like really like it, it's like, oh my god, it's like, all right, I guess I'll just try to be dirty. I guess I don't know.
And then I'm like, can they hear me? Because I don't know if they can.
Yeah, where it's just so much quieter compared to.
Yeah. So, oh yeah. So did you think you'd be doing stand up this long, like when you started?
I think when I started, I did. Like, I think when I started, especially winning Clash the first time, I was like, I'm gonna do this forever. But then I think that there was definitely some moments in the 2 to 4 year range where I was like, I might quit. This is hard. It's a lot of work, especially when I was teaching and I liked teaching. So I was like, oh, I have a job that if comedy doesn't work out, I can be perfectly fine quitting
Yeah.
stand up and just like hanging out with kids and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I don't now I can't ever see myself quitting, but there was definitely moments where I'm pretty sure I was like this close to just being like, yeah, this is the end. This isn't fun anymore.
Well, I always applaud you too, because I don't see how you did teaching and then you would do like 3 open mics or however many in one night. And I was like, yeah, do you even like sleep?
Yeah, it would be like a lot of like staying at friends' houses or staying at my girlfriend's house and like going to bed really late and then waking up crazy early and just like I would take naps after like if the like I taught in Richmond, so if the shows were in Richmond, I would get off work at 4 and then I would like just nap in my car from like 4 to 6 or 4 to 5:30 and then go to the mics and like yeah, the only time I was awake to work and I was awake to do stand up. That was like the only time. And I would catch up on sleep on the weekends. Uh for sure.
I don't see how you even knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm very lucky that I didn't like just start doing jokes at school or start trying to teach people when I was on stage. I lucked out.
Wow, that's cool. Because yeah, I don't think I could do that. Because I worked like when I worked at the Richmond Braves like at night for a while, and then I had like a job where I had to be there like 7:30 in the morning, and then I
Yeah,
was like, then I didn't get home till like midnight, and so after a while I was like, I can't do both of this. So yeah, I don't really
yeah.
know how you did that.
This is too much. Yeah, now it's just comedy, and I am exhausted now. I don't think I could have done it if I had started the teaching in my 30s and not my 20s. Because now that I'm like 31, I'm starting to get way more tired, way easier.
Oh, you're so old.
Yes, I feel it.
So what's your biggest and proudest accomplishment so far?
I think my biggest and proudest accomplishment is being able to make the transition from needing a day job to just paying my bills doing comedy. Like I think that was like when I started, that was like the goal, and it took me like 6 years to get there, but to finally get to where it's like I do gigs and that's how I pay my rent, that's how I pay my bills, that's how I pay my car payment and all that stuff. And it's just like the type of thing that's like, knock on wood, I'm able to do it now. So I'm just going to enjoy it while before something happens and I have to go back to work.
I think you seem like you're doing okay.
Yeah, yeah, I'm doing okay, but still month to month. Some months you'll have like a bunch of gigs, and then especially during the pandemic, and then the next month it'll be like, all right, I guess we're going to dip into the savings a little bit and try to power through until the next month.
We did okay too with the Zoom shows.
Yeah, I did a lot of those. Those were fun. But it's like outside of the corporate Zoom shows where it would be like a company doing it, it's mostly just like not paid, and you would just be brutal because you would just be sitting and just waiting and just sitting in front of your computer for like I would do like 8 or 9 Zoom open mics a day, and it's just me sitting in front of this laptop for like 10 hours and only stopping to eat and just like bombing all day long to other comedians around the country.
That's kind of neat though.
It's neat, but it was like, whew, when live comedy came back, I was like, I can't believe I did Zoom for a year.
Yeah.
But I might go back to it. Who knows? I've done a few corporate ones. That those are usually fun because there's actual audience there. But
Yeah. Well, I get too from like, well, I like both, but like from a point like too, like there's people that I know that like can't like don't live around here. So if you do
yeah,
that, you can have people from like all over.
that is cool. It is like a good way to like stay in touch with other comics and to like if you have people that want to support you, but like you said, are like on the other side of the country or like family that's somewhere that they where you're not going to be doing a show around them. It is kind of nice to be able to have like a thing where they can just log on, support, and see the hard work that you're putting in, and don't have to lose an arm and a leg like flying out to see you perform somewhere.
Yeah. So I guess it's a little bit of change. So what's something people be surprised to know about you?
Oh man, what is something that people would be surprised?
That's my favorite
Uh,
question to ask.
that's a good one. I think a big one is like I did musical theater in high school. I think that's like a big one. Like I was the male lead in Rogers and Hammerstein's Cinderella when I was Prince Charming when I was a senior in high school. I think that's like the biggest one. So I had like 2 songs that I had to sing and to learn all these lines.
That's cool. You should do a joke about how you're Prince Charming.
I know it was weird because we did like it's the coolest I've ever felt was like we did 3 shows. Like we were a small school, so we didn't do a ton of shows. We did 3 shows. It was like a Friday, a Saturday, and then on Sunday it was like an afternoon show for like little kids to come. So there's a bunch of little girls dressed up like Cinderella. And so afterwards it was all these little girls wanting to take pictures with me because
That's
I was
funny.
dressed like Prince Charming. And I was like, this is the coolest that like this is it's the most famous I've ever felt in my life. Like people were like, it was so cool.
That's cool. You're like, I do comedy now, and they asked me for more pictures back as Prince Charming.
Yeah, and so I just send those.
Pretty
Yeah,
funny.
it's all my it's me being like half the weight that I am now, looking at emaciated Prince Charming, and I send those pictures in.
Cool. Do you have any hobbies or like in collecting of
Yeah,
anything?
I used to I haven't collected for it since my dad passed away, but like I would say all my hobbies are I like board games. I play Dungeons and Dragons, which is really fun. And I'm trying to play board games a little bit more. And then I used to collect like retro video games and stuff up until about up until my dad passed away. That was like a cool thing that we like did together, even though he wasn't a gamer. He liked to like go and find cool games and stuff. So I've got like a pretty big embarrassing video game collectible and video game like actual games and consoles collection that is at my mom's house that I have to that I haven't added to in about 2.5 years.
That's cool. I like to collect
Yeah.
like the original like Nintendo and then like Game Boy stuff, and I have a
Oh,
little
that's cool.
stuff, but it's mostly the original Nintendo was my favorite.
Yeah, the original Nintendo and the Game Boy are like two of the few consoles that I'd like never like by the time that I got into collecting like the some of the older stuff, like that stuff was like the games that I wanted are like out of my price range, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna get the mini NES Classic
Yeah,
that
that
has
was
30
cool.
games on it. But
Like
yeah,
on,
yeah, like collecting's fun.
it's like on eBay too. I'm like, I don't trust the people with their ratings because
Yeah,
sometimes they're good and sometimes I'm like, no, that's not.
I agree. That's the worst is you just don't know, and it's so hard to tell from a picture. And it's like, we'll go with this. This shirt doesn't look too messed up. Like,
Yeah, they're like, it's like mint like new, and then you look inside, I'm like, there's little scratch marks. Oh,
yeah, there's scratch marks. Let's not like new. All right, if this was new, I would return it.
yeah. So I was, you currently have a comedy album out called Already Aware. Do you want to talk
Yes.
about that and how did that come about?
Yeah, I was really lucky. So it's I released an album like a few years ago. I released an album when I was 2 years into comedy that was like independently made, and it was just because I was like, I might quit comedy and I want to at least have proof that I did it. Like every band, releases an album on GarageBand or whatever. Like if all these bands can make music, why can't a comic, make an album? So I did that, and and then looking back on it, like, man, I can't believe I made that because it's not as good as the current one. But I was really lucky in that this is my first record label release. So it's like my debut album on a record label, and I was just opening for my friend Chris. Like he was recording his album for the same record label, and he needed an opener, so I came down, and the record label guy saw me perform, and it was just right place at the right time. I had like a really good set, and he was like, "That was the best set I've seen a feature act have." He's like, "I got to get you. We got to make an album together. We got to do this thing." And so I went down there, and they gave me a weekend of shows where I was like featuring. So I got to do 20 minutes 5 times, and then I co-headlined and did 40 on the last one,
That's
and then we
cool.
edited it all together. So it's good. Yeah, it's already aware. It's based off of a joke in there, but I also just think the title's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah. So do you should make money off of that then too. You're talking about it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like with the record label thing. It's less about people buying the album and more. I'm waiting to hear back if any of my tracks from my album got picked up to be on Sirius XM. Because if it gets picked up on Sirius XM, you do make a little bit of money every time they play the track. So, and you get the credit of as heard on Sirius XM. So, like right now, fingers are crossed that I get a track or something picked up, but I just won't know uh until it's been done. I keep waiting to hear back from the record label guy.
That's cool. I didn't fall asleep when you froze. Just so you know. I
Oh
was
no, it's fine. Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, she's sleeping right now.
like, that was, did you say, was that recorded in Raleigh? What is it?
Yep, it was in Raleigh at Good Nights Comedy Club,
That's
uh, which was really cool. It's a really cool old comedy club. I think it's been there since the early '80s, and they now they're owned by Helium, the chain of clubs, the Helium chain of clubs, and it's a really special club. I had a really good time working there.
that's cool. And you said that's already aware. How did
Yep.
you come up with the name?
Just already ALRE. Oh, did you say how to come up with it? I think
Yeah.
you froze. Okay. Yeah, it's just from one of the jokes in the album about one of my students, who like I basically posted I worked at the school I taught at was a school for autism, and basically the whole premise of the joke is that I tried to put up stuff for autism awareness, and they basically made the point that they were already aware that they had autism. So I was like, oh, I like that title. I think it's kind of a vague enough title, and it ties into a joke. So I was like, oh, this will be cool.
That's cool. And you also have a comedy special you recorded and made called Grieving Productively. And can you
Yes.
tell us about this and why did you decide to make a comedy special about the death of your father?
Yeah, so yeah, it's Green Productively. It's free on YouTube. It's won some awards. I was pretty happy with. It's the type of thing where like I just process all of my emotions through comedy, and my dad was a really important guy to me, and I took his loss uh pretty hard. And it was just a way that I could try to make something funny out of something that sucked, and to hopefully maybe help some people with my comedy or be relatable. And it's also the type of thing where like after a while I don't want to do those jokes all the time, and I was like, if I put them on a recording and I release a special, then those jokes are out there if someone wants to watch them, but I don't have to just keep doing it. So it's like 35 to 40 minutes of jokes about my dad passing away, and and it's got some pretty tender moments in there, and like because it was a lot of, that's probably the thing that I've worked the hardest on, as far as like it was like a year of writing and working on the jokes, and then over the course of 5 or 6 shows recording the stuff, and then I would say another 100 to 150 hours of me editing it myself and trying to make it sound as good as possible, and then just releasing it and trying to promote it. So that was I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah. I watched it. I thought it was cool too how you like went to like his grave side, which where you sat the whole time and talked to him while you were doing the thing. I like
Yeah,
that. I
thanks.
thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, it was just the type of thing where I was just like, what how can I tie all this stuff together? And I was like, well, if I do all the setups to the jokes where it's me just talking to my dad and running down like, hey dad, I wrote all these jokes about you, I want to run these jokes by you. And so what I did is I went and I just like, and that was also like I recorded it. That was like the first time I had visited his grave since he passed away, and it was like a year after. And I was like, I'm gonna go, and this was like this big emotional moment, and I set things up, and it was like starting to rain, and it was just this type of thing where it's like it's gently raining. I'm having a conversation, and it made it so that I could take the setup, and to be the setups are all very serious, and I'm being emotional and like these real raw feelings, and then I can go to the Zoom show and then the live show and then all the punchlines, you're getting the big laughs. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed that. That was a tough thing to film, but I was glad that I was able to do it.
Yeah. Well, I thought that helped add like to it too. It wasn't just like the comedy show. So
Thanks.
you kind of talked about this, but how do you think comedy helps people deal with tough issues like death of a loved one?
I really think, at least for me personally, some people don't deal with tragedy through laughing or whatever, but it's like I think that stuff like losing a loved one or having a bunch of anxiety or like all these things, like depression, things that suicidal thoughts, like all the stuff that is like really negative things you don't think you should joke about. I think those things can make you feel very isolated and make you feel like you're all alone. But me being able to write a joke about it and get an audience to laugh at it, I'm like, they're only laughing because they agree with what I'm saying. So it was a way for me to feel like just not alone. And I've had people reach out to me after the special and be like, hey, like I felt so lonely, and then I watched this and I realized that I wasn't the only person feeling this way. And I think that for most tough issues, the people that deal with them through comedy deal with them that way, because it's kind of a way to bring people together that have had similar experiences to each other that could be very difficult experiences to have to live through.
Yeah. And you also connected, I think, with Amber Hendricks on you do the Dead
Yeah.
Dead comedy pod together. Do you want to talk about
Mm-hmm.
that too? Or
Yeah, that was really fun, and I think her and I might revisit it. But it's Dead Dad Comedy Pod was like just a podcast that her and I did together, where both of us lost our fathers to pancreatic cancer, but mine was over the course of 10 days really quickly, and hers was like over the course of a year and a half. And it really helped us to bond and become really, really tight and close knit friends. And yeah, we just would have people on who have lost somebody or had dealt with some type of grief, and we would talk to them and let them be inappropriate and let them be funny about it. And just like she kind of kept stuff on track, and I would make jokes, and we would just like kind of have these soft tender moments, but also be able to have like these big laughs about these horrible horrifying things. So yeah, I liked it a lot. That was another really fun thing that I hope that I'm able to get back to at some point, because it's been about I don't know exactly how long, but it's been a while since we've done a new episode, because she's been Amber's been incredibly busy with with some of her extracurricular activities and like some of the charities and the things that she works with. Like I'm gonna check right now because I think it's been about, yeah, it's been almost a year since we've done a new episode. It's been about 9 months, so I might have to talk to her and see if she wants to get together and do a couple episodes.
Yeah, I like her. She's nice. I met her through
Yeah,
Sarah Allen.
she's great. Her, yeah, I love Sarah and I love Amber a bunch. Those are both great people.
Your dad? You only knew for 10 days.
So he got diagnosed and then passed away after 10 days.
Oh
So
my
it's like
God.
yeah, so we had no clue that he had cancer. He just went in. So like he thought he was dehydrated when he went into the hospital. And they're like, oh, we better get this checked out because he was having elective neck surgery like in a few days because he was having neck pain. And then they get in there and they're just like, yeah, you have tumors all over your body. It's like we don't, it's not good. And so they found out it was stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And then like he just got, once he got in the hospital, he just got sicker and sicker and sicker every day until he passed away in his sleep.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was that like quick.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a whirlwind of emotion and tragedy and over those 10 days. It was really difficult to deal with.
I mean, maybe you said that before, but for some reason it didn't process until just now.
Yeah, no, it's the type of thing where it's like that happens a lot where it's like I'll mention it and it's like so absurd sounding or like I say it so quickly in passing and people are just like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, it was like it's just, yeah, it was we had no idea.
Yeah.
But
So as we talked about, you've done a lot already. What are your current comedy goals and what do you want to accomplish in the future?
well, my current comedy goals are everything right now is working towards getting some sort of either television credit or do what I need to do to get the type of social media following to start to headline some smaller clubs and stuff to just kind of build my audience. But I think if you're looking at the grander scale of like what the like in layman's terms, the next goal is like I'm full time doing comedy, but now it would be nice to if I can get to the point where I'm making enough money doing comedy that I can support having a family. That's like the next step. I can support myself right now, but if I were to get married right now, I wouldn't be able to support myself and my wife and whatever kids we would have. And my girlfriend kind of needs me to get to the point where I'm able to do that. So,
Yeah. Are there plans to get married?
I mean, like I eventually, I mean, like it's a thing that I've always thought I would get married. So it's
Yeah.
like, and I've got an amazing girlfriend. So, I definitely,
Yeah.
it's why not? I think so.
We're going to a fancy dinner tonight. So I was like,
Tonight's the night. No, it's
yep.
very
You
much,
heard it
yeah,
first here, guys.
yeah. This is what, yeah, I'll be reporting live from the proposal. No, I've got a lot of stuff that I've got to do and got to work on. But she's great. I got a great girlfriend, and I have always seen myself as someone who's married eventually
Yeah,
and has kids and stuff like that. So
that's cool. You said you can stay to 4:45. That we said, or what time do you have to go?
yeah, I think my Uber will be here at like 4:45, so I'll probably have to log off by 4:40 so I can just throw my shoes
Okay.
on.
So a few more. What's your favorite thing to do when not doing stand up?
Oh man, my favorite thing to do. I really like. I'm basic. I like hanging out with friends and my girlfriend. And recently, it's been board games. Like when it snowed, the other day, um, we got a bunch of snow up here, and so like Martin's work was canceled, and my other roommate Skip didn't go in, and so there was like 2 nights where we just played a bunch of board games with everybody in the house, and it reminded me how much fun I have playing board games. So I'd say board games and video games and just watching TV with
Would you
friends.
play? Oh,
We played this game called we played Ticket to Ride, which is like a really fun like a game about building train tracks like railroad tracks across the country and trying to beat people and by the number of points you get. And then we also played this one called Horrified, which is like a cooperative board game where like you and the people that are playing are working together to stop monsters from eating and killing the townspeople. It's really fun. It's a good game.
that's cool. So what's your favorite and your least favorite part about doing stand up?
My favorite part is all the friends that I've made and making people laugh and just feeling all that positive energy and like helping new comics, like all the stuff that goes into just being like helping people out, being a good dude, and trying my best and growing and changing and all that stuff. Like all the stuff that comedy's made me realize about myself that I've needed to work on, and how it's like just been really helpful to me, especially like after my dad passed away and having gone through breakups and other stuff. Comedy's always kind of been there for me and made me realize like, oh, I want to change and not, continue to be a better person and continue to work on myself. And I would say the worst part of it is it's just like inherently in comedy, there's a lot of interpersonal conflict that kind of happens sometimes between it's a bunch of people competing for stage time. And I would say the worst part is how some people can view it as something really competitive, or some people can be really petty, and just the head-to-head interpersonal issues you can have with other comedians. Because I mean, a lot of comedians have mental illness and are like like kind of crazy. So it's like just dealing with crazy people all the time is uh probably the worst part. Just having anxiety about like, oh, does this person hate me? Like, is this person mad at me? Does this person not think I'm funny? Oh no. I would say that's probably the absolute worst part of stand up.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I can get competitive sometimes. So I like to do the competitions, but then I also like to do the stuff where I'm like, there's no competition here. Don't want to see any. And some people are still like, it's an open mic, and then they're still acting like it's a competition. And I'm like, come down.
Yeah, that's the stuff that's tough, because it's like I've had to like really work on my competitive nature and stuff, and like not being petty and just like being zen and forgiving people and stuff like that. Because I'll just be like, you'll, like you said, you'll just see some people and it's like there's some comedy competitions I've done where like I'm looking at the other people competing against me and I'm like, the worst thing that could happen is I could win. If I win, all these people are just gonna be really angry at me, and that's not worth the $50 I'm about to win doing a comedy competition. I would rather come in second and everyone just be mad at the guy that won.
That's kind of scary. I never really thought about it.
Yeah, that's how I view it. And it just depends on, who else is doing it, because not everybody is like that. And I've had to work to not to be that type of person. But it's just, it's tough because I just have so much anxiety all the time that everybody hates me, that I like a comedy competition is a nightmare for me.
Yeah. Well, I always kind of get like that too. Like if someone like, I don't know, doesn't know, I'm like, they're all mad at me. And then they're like, no, I just had a bad day. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I know. It's just so
That's funny. Okay. Okay. What's the craziest or weirdest place you have ever performed?
ooh, the craziest or weirdest place. I'm trying to think if there's been any like um insane places. I mean, I would say outdoors, and then like COVID happened, and it's just like I performed outdoors so many times. But I used to say like outdoors. I've done the bed of a pickup truck as a show they run out of Richmond. I've done that a couple times. Um, one of the weirdest gigs was like me and this dude had been booked to do this bar in West Virginia like years ago, like an Ingle something. I don't know. It's some crappy place in West Virginia, right over the West Virginia line. And we'd been booked like 6 months before. And then leading up to the gig, we hadn't heard anything from the booker, but the Facebook event was still up. And we're like, all right, well, I guess it's still happening. So me and my buddy drove
Oh my
like the 3.5 hours to get there. And we get there, and the bar owner was like, oh, you guys are doing a show? It's like that. We canceled that 4 months ago. It's like we haven't talked to the booker in 4 months. We don't know where he is. It's like, so we just canceled it. And so we had been promised all this money, and we didn't get any of the money, but we were able to talk him into like, I was like, hey, how about they had a stage. I was like, hey, we drove all this way. Can we just do a show? Like for, and I said, we won't do it we don't need to pay us anything. Can you just feed us? And so we did. And there's like I had like friends come that like lived in West Virginia. I had like 4 friends there. And then there was like 6 or 7 local bar people. And it was just like, I don't know if you've been in a bar in West Virginia. It's just the worst people on earth that are like, their regulars are the worst. It's like people playing casino slots, and like the bars, all like the bars in West Virginia all have like you have to knock on the door and you have to be buzzed in from the bar. And it was like you walked in, I was like, this is like a criminal operation. And so we just did comedy and bombed. And I got heckled by some lady that was just like, there was something going on with her. Like either she was degenerate alcoholic or had some drug issues or something, but she wasn't all there. And she just heckled me for 20 minutes. I dealt with that. And then my buddy had to go up and headline because I was just featuring. I was like, yeah, I'll feature for you. That's fine. It'll be a fun ride. And then he goes and he just bombs for 40 minutes. But we got chicken tenders and then we drove 3.5 hours back home.
That's all it's about.
Yeah, it is all about chicken tenders. I have worked for chicken tenders quite often.
Cool. Well, I'm glad they let you at least perform. So
Yeah, me too. Because if we'd driven all that way and then that, because I was like super upset because it was also my office Christmas party, and I was like, can't go to the office Christmas party, guys. I have a paid gig tonight, and yeah, and then all my friends had a blast at the office Christmas party. They had a very good time, and I was like, this sucks.
Oh. Do you have like a best show and a worst show?
The worst show, there's too many to count. I've had so many bad shows. I've had like someone flash a gun at me early on in comedy because they hated me so much. I my best show is I've had a bunch of really good shows. Some of my shows when recording my album are really good. I've had shows at the DC Improv that were really, really fun. I've had some headlining shows that are great, but like if I had to pick like a show that made me feel the worst as I was doing, there was this holiday show in Charlottesville, and it was like two bands, and this place called the Jefferson, and it was like two cover bands. I'm doing comedy in front of one, then the band comes up. Then I'm doing comedy in between the first and second band, and I'm doing a raffle, and then I'm done for the night. So that's all I have to do. And I'm making a percentage of the door sales. And so the show starts, it's like a 250, 300 seater, but it's not a comedy show. So there's no seats set up. It's like the type of place where people are just standing, like for the concert. And the back bar is like 150, 200 feet away. So I go out to start the show, and there's 25 people there, all at the very back of the room. So I'm doing a joke, and then the sound would travel to the back of the room. They would laugh, and then I would have to wait for their laughter to travel up to me. So there'd just be this huge delay, and I'm just like not doing great. And I feel like I'm bombing, and I'm not even like I'm like maybe 3 years into comedy, so I'm like not even good at comedy yet. And I'm just like, this stinks. Oh my gosh. I said, whatever. And then I bring the first band up, and then I go backstage. And so I'm just kind of hanging out backstage, have a couple drinks, I'm eating dinner. And then when I come out, it is packed with the drunkest, loudest people who do not want to hear comedy at all. And they're like, all right, so the first band ended at 8:15, and there's a clock on stage, and it's like 8. You have to, between the raffling away and my comedy, I was like, I have to go till 8:45. So it's 30 minutes. And so I can tell nobody wants to. I proceed to like make the raffle take 25 minutes. I'm like, slow. I'm talking so slow. I'm like, hey, everybody, we're gonna do the raffle now. Who's ready for the raffle? And people aren't even paying attention, and they're drunk, and they're just blacked out. And so I start slowly reading, and then I'll slowly walk it to people, and then 25 minutes, I do it for 25 minutes, and then I have to do 5 minutes of comedy. And I bombed harder in those 5 minutes. It was like 300 people not paying attention, drinking. Like a couple people are staring at me, but they don't even understand what's happening. Like they're just like I literally could see a woman mouth, like she was just mouthing. She goes, "What's going on?" And and it's just brutal. And that 5 minutes felt like an hour and a half. And then I get my check, and I see for how much money it is, and I'm just like, my dignity is not worth. Like my dignity is worth more than this. This is brutal. But yeah, that's probably the worst gig I've ever had. It was really bad.
Well, I don't think you bombed if they're not even like paying attention.
Here's like that's probably true, but it felt like I was bombing.
Can they hear you, or is that like the problem? Or
Oh, they could hear me if they were paying attention. They're
Yeah.
just being so loud, and it's just like, oh my god, it's like, please stop, pay attention to me.
Well, this is kind of similar. Do you have like any do you have a favorite heckler story?
Do I have a favorite heckler story? No, I this is crazy. I just I've had so many hecklers that I don't like. I have they all like kind of run together. I've never had any hecklers that are too nuts. I've had the guy that flashed a gun at me, and that was like one thing,
Yeah.
But like other than that, not really. It's just a bunch of people yelling. The gun flashing was like I'm doing comedy, and this guy comes in who had been overserved somewhere else at some country bar in Crozet, Virginia. And he says something to me that's very homophobic, just being kind of racist. And then I make a comment back to him, and he yells, "I'll kill you. I'll see you after the parking lot." And he pulled his like shirt up and just had like a pistol there. And I was just like, oh man. And then I get off stage and I have to sit next to where that guy is because the buddy I rode with was up after me. So I had to watch my friend do comedy, hoping this dude wasn't going to pull a gun and blow my brains out.
That's scary. I think I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad one.
Right. Yeah. So I watch you have your little crowd work things on Instagram like every day.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite thing about any of those?
They're pretty fun. I don't know. I really enjoy doing them. Like I think that they're just kind of fun. I think what I like is it's because I've told myself I'm going to release a clip every day, it makes me get in the habit of like being okay releasing clips that aren't perfect. It's made me feel okay with recording every set and going through it and stuff like that. Like it's made me pretty happy. So I think that the part that I like the most out of it is it's just like because people have seemed to enjoy them, it's made it easier for me to like do the editing and do the hard work. It's been really rewarding to like wake up and each day be like, all right, I'm gonna put captions and make this clip and post it. And it makes it so that when I'm doing crowd work at a show, even if something kind of goes wrong, I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't bomb right then. That's something that I can put in the clip. That's a clip people might want to see.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like the one that was quoting you like Chris Farley in your
Oh
line.
yeah, that was so funny. That show was great. That was like 30 minutes, and that show was all crowd work. And the guy just was like, he was like a dentist, and I was like, "Where's your practice?" And he goes, "In a van down by the river." And I was like, "I can't believe you just quoted a
Like
better comic."
yeah, that was the part I like. That was funny. Yeah. So you think it's important to like keep engaged with people and have like a regular schedule and like
Yeah, I need that. I don't know what other comedians need.
yeah.
I know for me, I like the idea of like if something happens and I kind of pop off to the point where people if I get to the point where like I have fans and people that like what I do, I like the idea that if I get fans, they'll have an entire array of things that I've made that they can check out. Like if someone watches my comedy and they love what I do, and they go in like a deep dive, they'll find my first album, they'll find Already Aware, they'll find Grieving Productively, and then they'll find a ton of YouTube clips. And then now there's just all these daily Instagram clips. Like there's a lot, and like all my podcasts that I've done. So I like that if someone does become a fan of me, all this stuff making me work is like give it. I have a lot of content out there that if someone enjoys me, that they won't run out of watching stuff.
Yeah. I was looking at your website too, talking about that. Your website's pretty cool. That's like it's very like fancy and professional looking.
Yeah, Brandon Beswick made it. He
Oh,
keeps up
really?
my webs. Yeah,
Oh, that's
Brandon
cool.
Beswick. He makes websites for people, so he keeps mine up. He does a really good job. And if something's not right with it, I just send him a text message like, "Hey, can you fix this when you can?" And he does a pretty good job of it. So,
Cool. He's gonna be on my Zoom show coming up.
oh man, Brandon's great. I love Brandon.
Yeah.
He's one of my best friends. He's very
Okay.
funny.
Do you watch his Twitch stream?
I do sometimes when I get a chance. I'm not a big Twitch person, but like I've watched 2 or 3 of his streams and they're really fun. His Twitch streams are a really good time.
Cool. Do you do anything different based on where you're performing?
Yeah, I mean like if I do a show and I can kind of tell that the crowd is into cleaner stuff, even if it's not a clean show, I'll just be like, oh, I'm just not gonna curse tonight. Or there's sometimes you'll be doing a show like that one with the Chris Farley thing, like the 3 comics that went up before me, they did pretty good with just jokes. But every time they did crowd work, the crowd work just worked way better. And so I was like, I'm just going to do crowd work. And so I just did that and talked to people and just kind of made it this fun, interactive experience for everybody. And there's other places where like you'll go somewhere and maybe they are like you'll do, not that I have a ton of political stuff, but there's times where I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to talk about any edgy topics because I can tell everybody in here is either just like people that really want to relax and have a good time, or I do try to pick up the vibe of the room. And I luckily have enough material and can do crowd work for a long enough time that like whatever I pick, it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't know. See, that's another thing too. You have like a clean set, a dirty set, and you have like you said political and whatever. I don't know. I feel like maybe I should have more variety. I just kind of do the same thing. Like they like it, they don't like it. We'll
But
see.
that's cool though. See, it's like I was listening to Anthony Jeselnik talk on a podcast, and he says that he writes jokes that he thinks are funny, and then he just keeps the jokes that the audience thinks are funny. And so that's what I do. I only write things that I like, and then it just so happens to be like they'll just kind of be like, oh, this stuff's more political, but it's like I don't ever feel like I'm pandering because I'm just like, oh, I still would do these jokes for whoever. But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with just doing what you do. It's just I really like the challenge of like writing all these different jokes and doing all these different styles. And then just like, I like the challenge of finding out what each crowd wants and then trying to find a way to make them like me without just completely pandering and,
I think that's
doing,
good.
yeah.
I just want to have it. And then like I don't know how to do something because like my stuff doesn't make sense because it's like really like hit or miss. Like I can do one show and they all like love me, and I can do a show exactly after it somewhere else and do the exact same thing, and they all just stare at me like you're weird now.
Yeah, that's the worst part about comedy is it's like it doesn't matter how good your jokes are. Unless you're famous, there's a good chance you're
Yeah.
going to run into a crowd that doesn't like what you do.
But it's like they liked it at one and they didn't like it the other. It's like, well, I don't want to change it because I don't know. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah,
But yeah.
it's hard.
So like when you write, do you like just do whatever randomly comes to your mind, or do you have a specific
Yeah.
topic? You're like, I want to work on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty much like it's I don't sit down and write. I do most of my writing on stage. So it'll be like if I have an idea that makes me laugh in my head throughout the day, I'll just write the idea down and then I'll wait and do a show that night and then kind of riff on the idea and just try to like do some crowd work with it. And then doing that once or twice, I kind of get the feel of like, oh, this is a joke now. And then once it's a joke, I can go back and like hammer down to make sure the wording is kind of perfect. That's why it's important for me also to like I audio record every set and I try to video record as many sets as possible because there's times where it's like when I'm writing on stage, I'm like, oh man, I have to go back and listen to that because I don't remember what I said, but that was the correct way to say that. That was the funny way to do it.
So it's just like whatever you already think is funny.
Yes, that's what I try to do. And then sometimes we're like, if I just have an idea and I'm just like, this is funny to me, so let's try to make it funny for other people.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I have topics like too, like I want to talk about, but they're not really funny, and I'm like, is there a way to make it funny? But I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah. Do you have any advice for people wanting to try stand up?
Just do it. Whether it's taking a class or going to open mics, if you really want to try it, do it. I used to be really not anti-comedy class, but I would just be like, I used to feel like comedy classes were ripping people off because it was like stuff that I felt like you could learn just from doing stand up. But then I got to the point was like, if you have the type of anxiety where the only way you're going to do stand up is to take a class or like that's just an environment you learn better in, there's nothing wrong with that at all. So take a class if you need to, go out and do stand up, make friends with people. If it's something you want to do, you should just try it and don't be afraid to like ask other comedians for help or notes. But the longer you do stand up and the more you come out, and if you're a good person, people will generally want to help you out. I think comedy is a lot more supportive than when I started. And I try to be a part of that and try to help people out as much as possible.
That's good. I mostly did it because like I was in California and I wanted to try it then, but like
Yeah.
I was scared to go by myself. And like I could never get anyone to go with me. I mean, I guess my roommate probably would eventually, but I was like, I don't know. And then I came here and it was the same back and it was the same thing. And so finally I was like, maybe if I take a class, then I'll be there and there's people there. So that was because I just felt
Yeah.
weird. I wanted to try it and I didn't really want to just show up and be like, hey. I don't know. And it was more supportive that way too, which I liked.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I mean, yeah, I just want to answer all your questions for you. But I mean, I think you covered everything.
I tried to do. So, I was looking at your website too. Am I frozen again?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, so it said you come from a Christian home and you teach children with special needs. So I noticed too you put that like into a lot of your stand up. Was your family like in the ministry or something?
No, I just I
Okay.
mean my parents were just devout Southern Baptists and my
Okay.
dad was a deacon at the church and my mom would always help with Vacation Bible School, and my dad was a Sunday school teacher, and I just grew up going to church all the time, and was instilled with those type of values. Got older, and like, I'm still a Christian, but like my opinions on a lot of stuff have changed and evolved a little differently. But yeah, it's just the type of thing where it's like I just grew up in that type of household, and it's just I didn't realize how weird some of that stuff was until I talked to my friends that weren't raised Christian, and they're just like, I'm like, oh man, that's so weird that you haven't seen every Veggie Tales. That's crazy.
VeggieTales is kind of cool. Then they put it on the regular like TV.
Yeah.
Like it changed it a little bit, which is kind of funny. But
Yeah, I like Veggie Tales.
yeah, like VeggieTales. So is there anything you want to promote, or can you let people know where to check you out?
Yeah, just at Winston H Comedy on everything. The only weekly podcast I'm doing right now is Host Battle podcast that you can catch. New episodes of that every Monday. But at Winston H Comedy, whether you are on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok, follow me on any or all three of those, and I post different stuff on each one. The video, I post my stand-up clips on TikTok and Instagram. And I post shows on Instagram, and then on Twitter it'll be like jokes and then the video. So there's like, follow me on all those, but if you only do one of them, you'll at least get to see the cool stand-up clips. But yeah, check it out. Get my album. Check out my special, winstonhodges.com. It's if you go to any of my sites, it's easy to find the rest of the stuff that I do.
Yeah, I mean Winston H Comedy.
Yep.
Cool. Well, thank you again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is great. I'm gonna go grab some dinner, but it was good talking to you.
Ask her to marry you.
Yeah. Yeah, tonight's the night.
Okay. I'll see you later. Thanks.